welcome back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy. Excuse me having no eye makeup today. My right eye is being rather unhappy and weepy, so I thought it best to let it go easy today. So, today we are going to talk about some memorable reads from the second half of 2023. I did this already for the first half of 2023, and I'll try and remember to link that below. But for the second half, let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it. The Sunlit Man, Brandon Sanderson. Because I loved Nomad, and I loved how the story just pulled me through. I read this in, I think, less than 2 days. So, we will start with that. The Sunlit Man. It's a story of a man nomad. He is on apparently a new world to him. He is a world hopper. He is fleeing some people who want to find him desperately. And he finds both the environment trying to kill him. This is a world where the entire surface is destroyed by the sun every single day. So you can basically only live on the night side. And, well, there's, aside from the guys who would very much like to find him, there's also some local problems as well. He doesn't want to get involved, but of course he ends up getting involved. Next, Pilgrim's Inn. This is the second of the Elliot family trilogy. We are introduced to some major players in the first book, Bird in the Tree. This is... first book was before World War II. This is after World War II, probably a couple of years. So the children in the first book are older, but not all of the adults are much wiser. And something in the family, perhaps several somethings, need to change. And they do. Part of it set off by some new people who enter their lives. And some realizations are made, which, well, I guess you'll have to read to find out. Let's see, what else? The Way We Live Now, I quite enjoy, which I'm not sure I thought I would enjoy such an economic story, but it's the characters that really make this. Especially, most of this story is focused on Melmont, tycoon. No one's sure where he is exactly from. They only know he has a lot of money. They aren't even sure how he got all of that money. So it's about him, his rise and fall, and people connected to him in various ways. And then some people connected to the people who are connected to him. Really, really enjoyed this one. Glad I read it. Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This is a sensation novel, and I greatly enjoyed it. So, yes, Lady Audley does indeed have a secret, though she's not necessarily the only one. We have a young man. He's very attached to his uncle, closest family to him. And he and his friend go and visit his uncle and meet his uncle's new, very young and pretty wife. And things go on from there. I reread, Leaf by Nigel and On Fairy Stories, both of which are in this little volume, Tree and Leaf. Fairy Stories is Tolkien's seminal work on the subject, and Tree Leaf by Nigel, maybe my favorite Tolkien short story. Hard to choose, but it may be. But a little man named Nigel, all he wants to do is paint, but he has responsibilities and a trip coming up that he can't avoid, and a neighbor who needs his help, and, well, things go on from there. Little Women. This was a reread by Louisa May Alcott. Perhaps not quite as good as I remember reading it as a teenager, but I still love the March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, and their trials and triumphs and tribulations growing up. It starts in the Civil War. This volume includes the second part, Good Wives, 3 years later when they're a little bit more grown up. Good times. Oh, and I love Marmee in here. She's the mother everyone deserves. Let's see, next, Wormwood Abbey, the first book of The Secrets of Ormdale by Christina Barr. This was just fun. Young lady living with her family. I think her father's a parson or something like that. But she finds out he ends up being the heir when his uncle dies. So they have to go to Wormwood Abbey to settle things there. They're not planning on staying there. Father and mother have the parish to work at that they have been doing, and the young lady, Edith, well, secretly she is a penny dreadful writer, I think so. That or sensation novel writer. Either way, they're all busy. They don't need Wormwood Abbey. But maybe Wormwood Abbey needs them. Next, Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. One of my favorites. I will forever love Fanny. And what can I say? I'm a sucker for a Cinderella story. And Mansfield Park is Jane Austen's version of the Cinderella story. So I absolutely love it. Mansfield Park is the story of Fanny Price. There were once 3 sisters. The eldest married very well. The middle sister married middling. The youngest sister married poorly. And of course, Fanny is the daughter of the youngest sister. So the eldest sister decides to take her in when she's about 10 or so and raise her and give her an education. Well, it's more her husband and the second sister's idea, but that is what happens. Of course, Fanny grows up, as do her cousins. New people come into the neighborhood. Things change, and, well, things go on from there. I also read Death Comes for the Archbishop, my first Willa Cather, which I absolutely loved. Love the description of the Southwest where I grew up. Well, practically next door. I grew up in the Southwest, not in this exact area, but it is the story of a bishop sent to New Mexico after Texas becomes a part of the United States, dividing the former Mexico diocese into two new ones, the United States one and the Mexico one, and it is the story of his life. And death does indeed come for the Archbishop, but only after a long and wonderful and fulfilling life. Just an amazing story. Let's see, what else? Oh, I read Kidnapped. Adventure story. Starts out in the Scottish lowlands. We go to the Scottish highlands. We get interclan politics, English-Scottish politics, North and South Scotland politics, all in the middle of this great adventure, which, well, since it happens within the first couple chapters, it does involve a young man who's seeking his fortune and inheritance being kidnapped, and, well, we'll leave it at that. Even better than Lady Audley's Secret, if anything, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Have a young man going to a new appointment at an estate as an art teacher for two young ladies. On his way, he runs into a third young lady dressed in white, hence the woman in white, asks for his help. He gives it, and she's on her way. Not too long after, he encounters some men looking for her, saying she escaped from a lunatic asylum. Well, he gets to the estate, meets the two young ladies and their guardian. Things are going along, but it turns out the woman in white's fate may be tied up with these young ladies' fates as well. And this especially comes true the further we go along. So, this may be the first sensation suspense novel of a modern cast. And by that I mean not sensational like the what is it called? The Mysteries of Udolpho, a couple generations earlier. This is more modern, using modern techniques, which some people may think it's too cliche because of that, but you have to remember Wilkie Collins got there first. Oh, I also read the Space Trilogy, wonderful revisiting it. I ended up liking Out of the Silent Planet and That Hideous Strength, interestingly enough, the best out of the three, but Perelandra is well worth reading as well. This, well, at least Out of the Silent Planet is C.S. Lewis's response to Orson Welles' First Men in the Moon. Perelandra is his version of Paradise Lost by Milton, and That Hideous Strength is a crazy dystopian novel. And finally, I read Chantry House by Charlotte Mary Yonge. A wonderful family story. This family, too, I think the father is a barrister. They have 3 elder sons, then a younger daughter, and an even younger son. Family saga that focuses on the top 3 sons. The narrator is the 3rd son. He was injured as a child, and so, well, let's just say some members of the family are more willing to tell him things than they might other members of the family. Mostly because he will be most sympathetic. There's a touch of a supernatural aspect as well, so quite enjoyed it. I think I got through it again in 2 days. It was just the most wonderful way to end Victober. And those are some of my highlights from last year, the last half of last year. Wonderful year reading-wise overall. Read so many wonderful things. So, what are some of your favorites from last year? Any recommendations? I'd love to hear about it down below. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.